Today's podcast is brought to you by Quantrix Modeler Introductory Training, teaching the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. Go to gumroad.com/l/Quantrix training to learn more. Hey, welcome back to another netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 181, summarized by month, by quarter, by year. This is in response to a question sent in to me from Dennis at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. Dennis in Switzerland has a data set that he wants to know how to import into Quantrix from a CSV file. Dennis, if you go ahead and you watch episode number 7 or episode 111, I show you how to do that. And then what Dennis wants to do is he wants to summarize this data set by month, by quarter, by year, the quantity and the turnover, and he wants to apply a timeline to that. So I'm going to show you how I would do that, I guess, at least one way that you could do it within Quantrix. There's a couple ways you could do it. I'm going to show you one of the ways to do it. So first off, I can tell that this is a date here, and when I go out to Google Translate and put this German word in there, I can see that indeed this does equal the week, the end of the day, if you will. So what I want to do is I want to convert these to, say, a value, and that way the rest of my functions that I'm going to use will work with this. Now, how I convert this to a value is I'm simply going to go, I'm just going to call it value date, if you will, and I'm going to say value, and then I'm going to say this guy right here. And then it's going to give me a large integer, and then maybe what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to format that as a date. So I'm just going to go here, hit date really quick, and then over here in my format toolbox, I'm going to go down here to German for Switzerland, I guess. And it looks like the month is appearing in the second kind of element of this string here. And again, if I were to look over here, I can see that that indeed is the case, as it says month right there. Note that I do convert this to a value because right now in this column it is simply a string, and I know that because it is left aligned. So that's why I'm converting it to a value. I'm going to go ahead and make this yellow because it's not part of our original data import, if you will. And then what I want to do is I want to add another column for month, and month equals the month, like that, month function of value date. And I should expect to see, if I go ahead and I format this as simply a number like that, I should expect to see 8s because there are 8s here. If I scroll down, I expect to see 7, 12s. And then if I go here and I hit enter again, I type that as year. Year is equal to the value date, like so. And again, I don't need it to be comma separated for a date or for a year. And then I want quarter. And quarter is going to be just a little bit more tricky in the fact that I'm going to actually add another matrix, and I'm going to call it, say, the quarter lookup matrix. So quarter lookup, if you will. And I'm going to have months going down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12, of course. And then I'm going to say, call this quarter or Q, and this is quarter 1, this is quarter 2, 3, and simply I'm just creating a lookup table here. And then what I want to do over here in this 2-day data matrix is on quarter, I simply want to say quarter is equal to Q here, using, I'm going to link items to categories, month as my, I guess, category O over here. I could rename this and call it month if I wanted, and then I'll have my quarters. Okay, now what I want to do, or what Dennis wants me to do or wants to know how to do, is how can I then summarize this? I could use a data link that goes ahead and does this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a new matrix, and we'll bring her down here, I guess. And I'm going to enter in my months here, so 1 through 12. And then I'm going to have years here, which is going to start probably in 2015. I'm going to go out 3 years, and I'm going to call this year. I'm going to call this category month. And then I'm going to add another category here, and I'm going to call it metric, if you will. And I'm going to call it quantity because he wanted to see a quantity summarized, and then he also wanted to see turnover summarized. So let me just bring this up here. I'm going to close out quarter lookup. I don't need it right now. And now what happens is quantity is equal to the sum of my quantity here using month as month, and then year as year. Okay, so I go ahead and I get that. I could do the same thing for turnover if I so desired. Okay, now he also wants to see this rolled up by quarter. So maybe what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you how I would convert this to timeline really quick. I would simply go here and timeline, and I would click on detect timeline. Go ahead and you can see that it's given me kind of this clock now, so I know that it's working according to timeline. So any recursion would work like timeline is supposed to work. And then if I wanted to summarize this, I guess by quarter, what I could do is I simply could do the exact same thing by bringing in another matrix. And I'm going to bring it, I guess, right next to this. I'm going to bring in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to call this quarter. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll actually slide it over here. I'm going to bring in my metric and have it linked. And then I'm going to bring in year, and it's going to be 2015, 16, 17. I'll call this year. I'll link it. Or I guess I'll detect the timeline rather. So what I'm trying to say, and then on quantity, I'm simply going to say quantity equals the sum of quantity here using items as categories. So quarter as quarter here, and then again using year as year. When I do that, I could go ahead and see that indeed this is equaling 1004. So my first quarter, yes, it should be equal to 1004. Anyway, Dennis, that's how I would do it really quick. Again, you could use some data links and whatnot. I think if you watch a couple of my episodes on summarization, also you could employ some of those things that are shown in those podcasts. Anyway, I hope you find that useful. If any of you have questions about Quantrix, I do hope that you'll reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. I absolutely love Quantrix. I want to make you a Quantrix master. So please join me again for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.